What are some things that jump out at you to say, okay, they need to do a little bit of work on the kitchen?
Certain colors of cabinets, I think glass or mosaic glass backsplashes.
Can't believe you just said that. That's
Do
what
you have
mine
that?
is. That's what mine is. Yeah.
I'm so, like I said, it's not that it's ugly. It's just it's not current. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 360 of the Real Estate Podcast. Today, Steve and I are going to be talking about dated kitchens, how they affect the value of your home, some cost-effective upgrades you can make, and when you should renovate or sell. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for raw, unfiltered stories and expert tips. Whether you're a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, or realtor, join us as we dive into the world of real estate.
It's funny. I think we both just did it. Like, what do you do during the intro? Like, do you stare at each other's eyes to get in the mood? Do you get rid? What do you do?
I think so.
Hi, Kristina.
Hi, Steve.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. So apparently we did a really good job last time. They asked us to do another one.
Mm-hmm.
How are things?
They're good.
Yeah.
Back to routine.
Listing last week.
Yes.
That's where I was going. Busy so far?
Yes, it has been busy. Lots of interest.
It's actually a super nice house.
That's good. It is a super nice house. So it makes my job a bit easier.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good location.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to talk about today?
So today we're going to talk about kitchens. Dated kitchens, how they affect value, things that you can do to update your kitchen before selling, kind of what makes a dated kitchen, and just cost-effective upgrades.
All things kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, like with kitchens, even before real estate, before I was, obviously it's what we do for a living. But even before that, you ask people to comment about houses and they always talk about kitchens. They always talk about bathrooms. Even now, I'm sure you've experienced this as well with buyer conversations that we have. And you ask what people's, must-have, wants, needs in a particular home. Kitchen is always the first one or two things that they always bring up, like what it needs to look like, or they want something that needs to be done. So it's a pretty relevant topic, I think, especially when it comes to real estate and homes and people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you spend a lot of time in the kitchen. It's where, meals are made, memories are made.
Oh, look at our brochure. I mean, the comment on our brochure is that the kitchen is the heart of the home.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. So for sure. Why do you think, like, you just mentioned a few things, but why are kitchens so important?
I think for a lot of buyers, most people don't want to take on that renovation. So when you're looking to buy a home, that's going to be one of the elements that will likely stay the same unless you are planning to do renovations. So having one that you like the style of and that you are drawn to and that you can see yourself in, just having that emotional excitement when you see it, I think is huge for a listing. That's
exactly, as you were talking, everything that was in my head was emotional. It's like an emotional hub for the home. You think of, getting your kids ready for school. Okay. Or everybody having breakfast together or entertaining. When you have people over, we've all experienced it. Like whatever, you go to somebody's house or they come to your house, where does everybody congregate? It's typically the kitchen. The other thing too, like if I've ever reviewed photos and stuff like that with clients, one of the first few photos of any property we look at, and if you were to go on MLS now, you'd see it. It's always the kitchen. It's always the kitchen. Yeah, and I think we do a pretty good job with our listings, like highlighting the kitchen, regardless of the state that it's in. So yeah, I mean, definitely super, super important. Obviously, for 10 buyers, there's 15 different preferences and stuff like that. You've done a lot of work on kitchens in the past. I mean, you've designed. Your husband does great work on kitchens. What are some things that pop out to you? Like, even if a kitchen looks relatively new, like what are some telltale signs that it's maybe a bit of a dated kitchen?
So signs of a dated. So I guess just to start, like to kind of define what we're talking about as dated, because a lot of features in kitchens, we might say are dated, and it's not that they're ugly or that we don't think that they look nice, just so nobody gets offended. But
on the contrast, some of them are fugly, like for sure.
They are. But I guess like in the context of what we're talking about, it's basically like it's not on trend, it's not current, and it's not what appeals
to distinction, for sure,
the most buyers right now, because basically we're talking about people who want to sell their home. And so you want to do something that's going to appeal to as many people as possible.
Let's come back to, I agree with you, but let's come back to trend, because that can be pretty dangerous when making decisions. But yeah, I agree to your point.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start in the context of selling a home. You know, one of the things that we do as part of our process, you know, if we get a call or somebody comes in, or you're working with somebody who's looking to buy their home, we go in for a quick 15, 20, 30-minute kind of tour of their house. What are some things that jump out at you to say, okay, they need to do a little bit of work on the kitchen? And I'll keep it a very vague term there. So if you're talking to somebody, when would you make those suggestions to maybe update the kitchen a little bit? Or not update, or refresh, or insert word here?
Yeah, so I guess certain colors of cabinets, a lot of wood tones, like that really deep orange kind of honey color, which brings you into the 90s. Something
Every
like that, you
builder
could, I mean, you could consider painting it, which is more inexpensive than replacing all of the cabinets. Some like laminate countertops, I guess, are considered dated because most people would like to see like a quartz or a granite nowadays.
There's one thing that drives me bananas, especially, and I think it's very pronounced when you're looking at maybe a little bit older laminate countertops, is sometimes there's cracks or chips. I think it just, you know, adds to the this needs to be refreshed.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Something else is, I think, glass or mosaic glass backsplashes.
Oh, I can't believe you just said that. That's
Do
what
you
mine
have
is.
that?
That's what mine is. Yeah.
I'm so, like I said, it's not that it's ugly. It's just it's not current.
Yeah, it's actually.
And I think, sorry, Adrian, he's got the same thing.
My maybe I'll send Robbie a picture of mine, because it's with mine. It's interesting. My wife loves it. I wasn't a big fan of it when we bought the house, but Ariel hates my backsplash, but it's love it or hate it. Like, I don't think it looks dated, but it's a very bold statement. It's like it's like an accent wall.
What color is it?
It's like a green. Okay. But
Green,
it's not, I say green, and I mean, green's a huge spectrum. It's unique. Like it blends well. I wouldn't say it's dated, but it's very polarizing. Yeah.
Well, you made a good point. If it blends all well together, then even if you have some elements that are dated, then it could just make everything look fine.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting. I'll have to show you a picture. Get your 2
to
cents on it. Yeah, for sure. The other thing I find lately, and we were joking a little bit before, as you know, I'm a salesperson. I love to negotiate. Give me a business plan. Give me something to sell or something. But that's home design and stuff like that. Stay in your lane. Like that's what when people ask me for advice, I'm certainly happy to provide an opinion, but we have professionals for that. We have interior design consultants. We have colleagues. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about with this, but you can tell, when things are a little older, so that, maybe they're bulkier. Modern designs, I find they're much more sleek. They're much more streamlined than they were in the past, like things like molding and stuff like that. Yeah.
And just more neutral altogether, especially if you're selling.
For sure.
Keep it neutral.
It's funny how many people, though, its defense goes up right away as soon as you kind of challenge something or tell them to pull back a little bit. Like there's a very dark wall behind you, and you say, you might want to lighten that a little bit, and people get their back up right away. And it's difficult sometimes to put a buyer's hat on when you're a seller. Okay, because you're so emotionally invested in the home, especially if you were the one that picked all of these things that now need to be refreshed a little bit.
Yeah, it's very easy to take things personally.
Yeah.
And we see that sometimes with our staging consultations, if they're asked to take down certain artwork or things like that, then again,
our stagers
don't
are good
take
at
it
that.
personal.
Yeah, our stagers are good at that, actually.
Yeah.
They're good at kind of directing the conversation to make it not personal. And what I typically do, I'm sure you do the same thing. These are professionals that are good at removing the emotion. Okay. They do this hundreds and hundreds of times a year. This is what's going to appeal to the masses, which is our job. We want to get that home in front of as many people as possible. And something like a kitchen, which is typically where people are going to go to first. It's so important.
Right.
So important. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, you want to appeal to the masses, and it's going to be very visible in photos.
Yeah.
Right away during a showing, people are going to see, the different finishes you have, the quality.
Yeah.
the condition.
And I think something important to note, and maybe this is a lead in into, one of our topics about updates and how much do you do as far as an update. I think what's important too, like if you want to leave your kitchen as is, leave it very dated, leave it non-refreshed, I think your expectation has to align with that as well,
Mhm.
because right away people are going to attach a value. Kitchen is one thing, but if they have to replace windows or if they have to replace appliances, they start doing math in their head.
Right.
Okay. Buyers, when they're walking through a home, we do it. I've had numerous clients that have done the same. And where I find that a little bit dangerous is people always over exaggerate. Okay. So, replacing you've done, minor and major kitchen remodel. So on the low end, what would a kitchen cost in a modest size house?
On the low end, so if you're trying to keep it cost effective, medium-sized or average-sized kitchen, and you're doing this to sell, I would say something like an IKEA kitchen.
Yeah.
You could probably get the material for less than $10,000.
Okay, perfect. So that's where my head was going. So fully installed, functional, maybe 15 grand.
Yeah.
Ish.
Depending on, your countertop, if you're doing a backsplash.
Of course.
And of course, for all those things, you want to choose something that's cost effective.
Yeah.
And that is neutral.
Yeah. And a buyer walking through, we just did kind of quick calculations in our head, but I would guarantee a buyer walking through, it's double, if not triple, as they're quickly walking through. Oh my gosh, it's going to cost me $45,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the house. It's not turnkey.
Right.
Whereas, there is affordable things you can do to a kitchen. So do you want to talk about those?
Yeah. So I guess we talked about IKEA kitchens, but if you don't even want to go that far and just having them painted is a viable option. That's a fraction of the cost of getting them replaced. Cabinet hardware is an easy one. Anyone can do that. Most people can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get like a, $3 to $4, $5 nice kind of matte black or just a really simple modern handle. Faucets, your kitchen faucet, change it out. It's probably $150, maybe, if that.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Actually, and you know what? I find often people are good at replacing hardware, but often they forget faucets,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And faucets, it's a lot bigger than hardware, so it's going to stand out a lot more. Like if you've got the nice matte black that you talked about, poles and hardware on cabinetry, and then all of a sudden you have one of those old, the stainless steel looking like the shiny
Mm-hmm.
and not, and again, I don't want to offend anybody because there's a lot of them out there, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. It stands out. So you got to be mindful of the whole thing.
Right.
And the impact it's going to have visually more than anything.
Yeah. Light fixtures, another one.
Light fixtures is huge.
Yeah,
Actually,
that can be pretty inexpensive.
And I had a note here. I mean, we've seen it more and more, I guess, the last probably 5 or so years. I love undervalance lighting or under cabinet
Mm-hmm.
lighting. I love it. I think it looks so sharp. So inexpensive now, the impression you can create with the strip LED lighting.
Yeah.
Like, do you have to rip apart your cabinets? I know that's desirable. Get an electrician in to do all the work. But if you're trying to do things affordably, I don't even want to say cheap because it doesn't look cheap in my opinion. If you want to do things affordably, it's a nice fix, especially as you're showing and presenting your home.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really nice.
Yeah, I think that makes a big impact for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, you can apply the same things to the kitchen that you do the rest of the house. Lighting, for example. We did a reno a couple of years ago. I was fine with the pendant lights we had hanging down over our island. Everybody else who came in wasn't. They said, "Oh, it's so dated. It takes away from this. So we replaced it, and I think it was $300 or $400, and it looks great now. It looks really modern, and it's not expensive.
Right.
So
yeah, the backsplash can also be done not cheaply, but actually in some cases cheaply. Like we just did a friend's trailer, and it was a pretty small kitchen, but we used peel and stick.
Oh, nice.
It's a PVC base, but it looks, honestly, from far away, you can't even tell the difference that it's not actual tile I think it was $150 for the entire kitchen.
And
it's pretty easy to, not that I did it myself, but it's pretty easy to install, I think.
Now, what about the adhesive? Like, does it have
it's
staying
really
power?
Sticky.
Yeah.
It does. It'll rip your wall apart if you try to take it down.
For real?
Yeah.
So if stuff gets on it, you got splash, you got, grease or whatever.
Yeah, it cleans up really well.
Wow.
It's like super glossy.
Okay.
Looks
I
like
remember this was before I was in real estate. I sold a home once and we didn't have a backsplash, and I wanted one up, so I used the peel and stick, but I think they had just kind of come out, and I put it up, and maybe it was cheap stuff that I bought. I can say cheap because it was my house. And I think after 24 hours, it started to peel a little bit. So I was getting like 2-sided tape because there were showings, stuff like that, like just trying to get through the showing. But yeah, I'm sure that was probably 10 some odd years ago, but I'm sure they've come a long way for sure.
Yeah, they have. I mean, I would put it in my house. Well, we're going to be doing a big kitchen renovation, but for the time being, we don't have a backsplash. Okay. So I would put it there, but I know that it would just mean that we'd have to replace all the drywall. Yeah. So probably not the way to go. I
didn't realize the adhesive was that strong. Eh? Like it would actually rip off the drywall.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Something to consider, especially with my green glass backsplash.
You'll have to rip up the drywall for that.
Yeah, seriously. So what we haven't talked about, which I think was one of the, kind of as we started brainstorming a little bit ideas of what to talk about today, was appliances. What are your thoughts on appliances?
So again, dated appliances, I think like anything other than a stainless steel, unless it's like one of those high-end white, like cafe. Have you seen those? They're white and they've got like gold handles.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I think
it's higher end for sure. I'm not about
like
gold.
It. I feel like I might get tired of it though.
Right.
I think stainless steel is the safest way to go, or even like a black stainless steel.
So we just got all those a couple of years ago. And it was actually my mother-in-law when she did a kitchen reno, a very, very small kitchen reno, but she came across this black stainless as it first started coming out. I think it looks super sharp. I really, really like it. And they've got the finish on them now. It doesn't show the finger marks and the paw prints as much. It still shows my dog slobber when she's waiting for us to feed her. But, you know, you can kind of touch it and it doesn't show up as much as the traditional stainless did. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Interesting. I wanted to talk about appliances. I just went to, I've been showing some properties in Markham over the last couple of weeks. And some nice homes, very, very nicely finished, you know, older homes, maybe 30, 40 years, and they've updated washrooms and they've updated kitchens. And it was a perfect example how, you know, they'd done a really nice job aesthetically finishing the kitchen. Like it looked very, very nice, but the appliances were the old kind of white with the coil on the stove. And I was like, why wouldn't you spend $400 or $500 and at least buy something that looks a little bit more modern? Because it just took away from clearly the work that had been done. And it was right away. I got that impression on it. And it's just kind of stuck with me. So when this topic came up, I was like, oh, I got to bring up that example.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because right away you'll get a buyer come in there and think, well, this is going to be, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 that you're going to spend on new appliances, a stove, fridge, if you want to get the full package, right?
And again, exactly what we just talked about. It doesn't have to be that much, but when people start doing math and calculating in their head, they almost make it prohibitive upon themselves. They use that as a reason why they don't like this house, you know, even though everything else might check all of the boxes.
Or why they would reduce the amount that they offer because they're going to be spending that amount of money on.
I got to spend this.
Upgrades.
I got to spend that. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great point. It's for sure. In your opinion, something else I wanted to bring up. So say you're doing a reno on a kitchen. Okay. Anything that I've read and my thought has always been, you do a minor reno, okay, the ROI is going to be higher. Okay. So it'll be kind of closer to what you paid. And I feel like this with every single reno. You're not going to get dollar for dollar or more what you put into it. You know, it just makes it nice for yourself or somebody who's going to move into the home. Major renos, you're going to get less of an ROI. Okay. So when you're selling a house, it's pretty important to consider, especially, you know, the people that are going to see the home might not like what you've done and rip the whole thing out anyway. Right. But your opinion, and I know this is totally ballpark, we didn't talk about it before, minor kitchen reno. What sort of a return do you think you could expect on that when selling the house?
For minor kitchen reno, I'm going to say like 80.
Yeah.
80%.
Yeah. So that's the high end of what I saw as well, like things that I was reading and looking at. Minor renos, like 15 to 20 grand, you can expect maybe 70 to 80% return on that, the value it's going to bring back. What about a major one? So say 50 grand plus.
55.
Yeah, bang on.
Something like that.
It was saying 50 or 60.
Yeah.
Honestly, we didn't rehearse that, but those are exactly the numbers that I was seeing that it comes up with. Because that's so hard. Like often we get people in conversation saying, I spent $300,000 on renovations for my home. That's great. It looks fantastic, but that's not going to be plus $300 for dollar.
Right.
So it's important to consider as well.
Yeah, not everyone's going to see the same value that you do.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Really, really good point. And I think that has to factor in to conversations we have with people in that, if you have a $30,000 budget to spend on your home, don't expect you're going to get 30 grand back. Don't spend 15 and expect you're going to get 30 type of thing. So we got to be honest about that for sure. I read something as I was kind of prepping for this a little bit. Your kitchen doesn't have to be new, it just has to feel fresh.
Right. Yeah. That's why it's also so important, like your condition of your cabinets.
Yeah.
Make sure everything is very nice and clean. Again, that's a huge impact when people walk in.
Clean
if
is
it's a
huge.
dirty kitchen, even if it's a really nice kitchen, if it's dirty, it's a big turn off, because then you think, what other, how well do they take care of the rest of the house?
Plants a seed, 100%.
And then just decluttering is huge. Like even a very dated kitchen, if you basically make it look like nobody lives there, it makes that much more of a difference.
And I think that's why, this is a little plug for our process. I think it's great that before we list a property, there's always 2 or 3 of us that go into the house before photos and stuff like that. I mean, we just did this with your property, myself and a couple of other agents were there, and of our colleagues were there. And, what about this? What about that? Maybe update this or check that out. It's things that the more you're into a home, the more you might kind of miss, because it becomes a little bit more familiar. So the more objective eyes you can get on it, I think it's just a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the benefit of having the team, is that, there are lots of things in house to pay attention to, and just having them in there to look at certain things that you might have missed is just a huge help.
And let's face it. I mean, when you're selling a house when somebody's selling, it's overwhelming. If you've never done this before, there's a lot of stuff you have to get taken care of. Right. And even ourselves, as we're helping people prep, there's a lot that we do, so it's just human nature that you're going to miss some things. So more eyes on it, I think are big. And I think most important, what you said is it has to be clean and it has to look good, because I know for me, when I go into a home, if my first impression is, like a smell or something looks dirty, I'm looking for it throughout the whole house. How has this house been cared for? Is this just swept under the carpet, or is this home been neglected? So it's so important for that first impression.
And like some people might think that it's overkill to have absolutely everything off the counters, even, with the exception of maybe if you had like really nice espresso maker, like those nice fancy Smeg appliances or something like that, then perhaps those can stay.
Not a fan of those either.
But even in that case, we probably will still ask them to hide it away. But for the most part, clear counters just helps people to envision the space better, envision themselves in the space, and see the amount of counter space there is. And then just having the stagers place items on there that are completely non-functional in a kitchen, 100%. But look really nice.
Yeah. And that's the key, right? Like that's our job of all of the steps that we incorporate, specific to a kitchen, for example. You're trying to create that emotion, and usually emotion's created when people can envision things like family, things like friends, things like celebrations in the kitchen. So do it. It'll pay off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing we didn't touch on was when you should leave it as is and just sell it as is, or when you should do these updates. And I guess it depends on the motivation of you as a seller, how much time you have, if you have the budget to make the upgrades, and if you want to maximize your value or just sell it as is and get out of there quickly.
Yeah, you detailed very nicely what I would say in general terms is, how motivated are you to sell it, and what's your expectation? If somebody says that's what they want to do, I would try to encourage them to do a few little things and just make it look a little bit nicer. But if you don't want to do it, hey, it's your house, but here's what I expect based on this and based on my experience, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the rest of the house too, right?
Absolutely,
If the rest of the house is updated and is modern and the kitchen doesn't match, then you don't have that cohesiveness of.
And as we've talked about over this last 15, 20 minutes, whatever it's been, it's so important because people will focus on the kitchen through pictures. You show a property, where do people go and where do they spend the most time? I find rooms, they kind of walk through quickly. A room is a room, but kitchen, it gives your house character.
Yeah. They're looking for everything. Storage.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are opening cabinets.
Yeah.
So make sure your cabinets are a bit
Yes,
tidy.
great point.
Yeah, not overstocked,
It's
busting
funny.
at the seams.
I did, which house was it at? I sold a home in the summer. Beautiful home, updated kitchen, everything like that. Like this house was very, very nice. It had a great first impression. And I remember during the open house, there were two groups. I think one day I had about 20 people through the open house, and there were two groups. One person walked right in. First thing she did was open a drawer in the kitchen. Like there's so many things to look at. You opened a drawer in the kitchen, and it was like the utensils drawer. What are you doing? Like it just surprised me. But then another person did it as well. They just want to open and press and gadget.
Well, you're checking if it's a slow close.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. And it was interesting though. Like the owners of this home had made a point. Like they were very, very well prepared for this. All of the utensils were nicely lined up. It wasn't just chaotic. So it kind of set the pace, because the first person who did it said, wow, look how neat that is. And then as they're walking through the home, everything was neat. Everything was this. So that first impression carried through.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a great point. Do not forget, it's not just sweeping under the carpet, because people will open drawers. They will, check inside cabinets.
In your pantry and your closets.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Great point.
Yeah. So just remove half the things are basically what we advise. Just declutter and make sure just show as much space as possible
and
everywhere.
Prep early.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with people who've waited till the last minute, and you work with people that do things early. You can tell when things have been rushed or things have been, looked to make to fit, as opposed to somebody who's truly organized. And it's tricky to do, but the cool thing is there's people out there now that can do it. Like if that's not your bread and butter, you can hire somebody to come in.
Professional organizers that can come and do that, or some stagers offer that service as well.
God, I wish I would have paid attention in school. Like what a great business idea.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
What else? Key takeaways?
Key takeaway? Don't neglect your kitchen, but keep things in perspective. I think it's important to align your expectations with what you're willing to do, and don't discount the fact that a budget is very important. Spend the money, because it will return more money at the end of the day.
Right.
Okay. Total value of the home, not dollar for dollar.
Right.
What about you? Key takeaway?
If you're selling, just keep in mind that you want to appeal to the most people as possible. Keep everything neutral.
Yeah.
Don't choose anything that you like, but other people might not love. So.
And
declutter and clean.
It's not personal. Trust the experts.
Right.
Yeah. Trust the experts.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's 2 we've done.
We need to see the picture of your backsplash now.
Oh yeah. Right.
Or your whole kitchen. The whole thing.
It's funny that we didn't actually reno our kitchen. We did the entire house. There was our main bathroom upstairs we'd done 4 or 5 years ago. We were happy with, and then the kitchen needs little bit of refreshing, but I actually think it looks pretty nice.
What color are your cabinets?
White.
Okay.
Yeah.
White is pretty classic. It's never really out of style.
Yeah, white. I updated the hardware. We got the new appliances. Lots of room. It's nice. I mean, we did the flooring obviously because it's in the same space as our dining room. I think it looks okay, but I'm hot and cold with our backsplash, but I still get compliments on it. But it's funny you said glass, because it is glass.
I know. I knew I'd get some comments from that.
Yeah, for sure.
But question for you.
Yes.
What is your one major want in a kitchen, in any kitchen?
Space.
Counter space?
Space.
Storage
and
space?
One other, which I don't have, and it drives me nuts. If you have an island, okay, we have a large island, but there's no breakfast bar on it. So there's no overhang. And it drives me nuts because I go to friends' houses or I show properties and they have a great breakfast bar with the stools underneath.
Yeah.
I don't do that, or I don't have that. So space and a breakfast bar. Those are my 2. You?
Well, you touched on mine as just a big island.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when you're entertaining nowadays, like we've gotten away from sitting at a table, everyone just stands around the island and all the food is spread out and it's just super functional and casual. But yeah, you absolutely need an overhang because I find when we're in and out and just eating quick meals, you don't really all gather at the table. You just kind of sit there. So yeah, big out. But you can just get your countertop changed out.
So we actually tried. Well, I shouldn't say we tried. When we had our contractors in, I told them I wanted to do that. And they said, you have two options. Actually, maybe I should talk to your
just put decorative posts.
Husband about this. What they had suggested was shortening the box to keep the existing or replace the countertop. Now, apparently the way the countertop was glued it wasn't us who did it, but it was glued incorrectly. So they said there would probably be a lot of damage to try and get it off. I said, well, why don't you just break it? I said, we're not going to be using it unless there's a resale market for this stuff. I don't know. But it's still I'm still very mindful of it because, I wish I could just throw a few stools under there. I love that. It's probably my favorite thing to do in, somebody's house or if you're socializing, just kind of hang out at the breakfast bar by the island.
Yeah. Like we had that one listing in the spring with I think it was 15 feet, the island.
Oh, that was bananas.
And every single person who walked in immediately was just blown away by this island. It was just incredible. Yeah.
I've actually got a good friend he's got they've got the same model of my house and they don't have a kitchen table. They've used same thing. The island is about 15 feet, but they've got an overhang all the way along it. And it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like it just looks so nice in the space.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
Cool. That was like an encore for everybody. I thought we were done and then you pulled that out of your back pocket. So that's the encore. We'll do our bow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Good. All right. Yeah. Thanks.
What did you think? Let us know. Like, subscribe, comment, follow, all things kitchen or anything else we talk about on the Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for watching or listening or whatever you did. That's it.